You didn't think I was coming back, did you? Hmm? I know. I know it's gonna take me a minute to regain your trust because I disappeared without notice, but I'm here. I'm here. And this week, we are going to talk about my experience with Shoot for Purpose, as promised. So let's sit back, relax, and let's get into it. So, where do I begin? I'll start from the beginning. I so someone that I follow on Instagram, someone that I know from varsity, had done this Shoot for Purpose thing, and I wasn't really following it that closely, but she's really into social media and does all sorts of things. It's just generally really creative and just amazing. So she shared, that she's doing the Shoot for Purpose thing, wah, wah, wah. And then at the end of the year, this Shoot for Purpose thing comes up again where she's had some sort of like exhibition to show off her photography. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And the pictures were like in black and white. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. Whatever, let me see the page. I followed it and I was like, this seems like something cool. And I've had many moments like that where I come across something online and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I think I should give it a try. But then I never really do. It kind of just disappears in the back of my mind. Or when the time comes, to sign up or whatever, then maybe I sign up but don't go. Or I'll see the post and kind of just shrug it off and move on. But for whatever reason, this time I saw a post that said, they are looking for, like, applications are open for cohort 9, and that you needed to like click a link and answer questions and da da da. And I was like, yeah, I'd already decided that I wanted to try something new and push myself and take myself seriously. So I signed up. And the applications, like, I think I applied, early January, and only after I had submitted my application, I saw that the applications were actually closing like end of Jan or beginning of Feb or something like that, and that there was like a lot of time between when I applied and when eventually applications would close. And in my mind, I assumed they would, be trolling through tons and tons and tons of applications. So surely mine would, just get lost in the mix. And the questions that they asked, were really deep questions. And because I was kind of rushing to answer and sort of just get my application in, I didn't think that my application would be chosen. I spoke about not wanting to be in front of the camera, not wanting to be seen, because of, my experiences growing up and what I was made to believe about myself. So I'm very uncomfortable in front of the camera, and in general, I'm uncomfortable shining. You know what I mean? Like someone pointing out that I'm good at something or whatever, like that stresses me out. It's like the same stress that most people feel like when people sing happy birthday for you and you're kind of just like tensed up and awkward and you're just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with myself? That's kind of how I felt in most situations, right? That if anyone ever noticed that I was in the room, I'd clam up and get frustrated or, just panic. And my panic would show up in different ways, right? It would either be in me being like overly, performative and okay, everyone's staring, let me give them something to look at. Or I'm irritable, or I'm awkward and, sarcastic and just sharp and I don't know. It's something I need to work on, but that's how it shows up. And that's basically what I wrote in my application. I was like, I would like to allow myself to just be, and hopefully through photography I'd be able to show people like myself that it's okay to be seen, that maybe I would get to a point in my photography skills that I'd be able to take a picture of someone and capture the intangible, capture a moment, a look, that little glimpse where someone is just perfect, when there's just absolutely nothing wrong with them. To find that person's angle, or to at least, let's say I'm having a session with that person, for in that session to see that person slowly relax and, become comfortable with being seen and being celebrated. And to have proof of that moment, something for them to hold on to and, think back on when they find themselves clamming up again, I don't know. That's kind of where my thoughts were. I was as discordant and as disorganized as I am now. That's kind of how my thoughts were when I kind of just blurted them out on the form and press submit. So obviously, if this program is meant to empower women or whatever, then surely there are other people with worse stories or just who wrote their stories better who would be chosen, Anyway, I didn't even know what the whole purpose of the Shoot for Purpose thing. I had just seen it as like a photography thing, and that it was free and all you had to do is pay for your memory card. Like, what? So for me, that's it. That's all I was signing up for. And I was a bit surprised by, these like intense or deep questions, but it's all good. And after applying, I came across a video that was recorded of my, friend, my Instagram friend. And she's sitting there and she's just like, oh, Shoot for Purpose changed my life, I'm a better person for it. It opened my eyes. It did rah, rah, rah. And I'm not going to lie, I was skeptical. I was so skeptical. I was just like, oh my gosh, how deep is this thing really? You're just taking pictures. You know what I mean? You're walking around, you're taking pictures, you're acquiring a new skill, you're learning. So are you grateful for, the teachers and everyone who took the time to teach you? Yes. But are you really going to say that your life was changed? That it transformed you? That there's a pre-Shoot for Purpose and a post-Shoot for Purpose you? Like, really? Really? So yeah, that was me and my skepticism. I was just like, yeah, sure. I'm not coming here for a life-changing experience. If I walk away with a skill, I'm happy. And then I was late to the first day, and I come in a half, and everyone is already talking, and I don't know what the story is, and I'm just really behind. And the coffee shop that we had met at was so loud, and I just couldn't hear anything anyone was saying, and I was really flustered because I was panicked, and But anyway, we get handed these cameras, and we get handed these cameras and our memory sticks, our memory cards, and we're given a few tips, and we're split into 2 groups, and we go for a walk. And I was just like, oh wow, okay, that's it. But it was fun. It was fun to just take a walk. First of all, I really like taking walks. But it was fun to take a walk, with a group of people. I think it was the first time I actually felt safe taking a walk. My first time feeling safe taking a walk in South Africa, at least. Because, I'm with a group of people. And I thought that I would feel more exposed because I'm using this really expensive camera. And I felt like I'd be, very awkward walking around with the camera, capturing things. But it's very different. Walking the streets with your phone, taking cameras, you kind of look like a creep. As opposed to if you have like a proper camera, then, you just look like a professional. You're on the job. People need to step aside and let you do what you're doing. And it was nice. I had no idea what I was doing, and all my pictures turned out terrible. But it was fun nonetheless, and it was really interesting. And I honestly wish I could go back to that day and retake all my pictures, because now I've learned so much, right? I've learned about leading lines and Dutch angles and aperture and shutter speeds and exposure and the rule of thirds and all of these things. And I really think that, like, if I had gone back, or if I could go back and take the pictures again, they definitely come out a lot better. But it was just about getting comfortable with the camera. And I understand the purpose of that first session. But yeah, I got to meet really interesting people. As we were walking along, we're not all just quietly just click, 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 clack, 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 taking pictures, but we're walking with each other and talking and finding out, about each other's lives and what we're interested in. And it was beautiful to connect with the amazing women in the group and the mentors who took the time to encourage us and celebrate our small victories and just be such an amazing support network. They were male and female mentors. And for me, I think I don't ever really feel safe around men. For me, the potential for harm is just too great for me to justify relaxing in the presence of men. But as the weeks went by, I felt safe in the group. And I think that was like the biggest thing for me personally. I know a lot of people will take away a lot, but for me, the biggest thing was actually feeling safe with people. The only time I ever really feel like physically, emotionally safe is when I'm alone at home. And it was the first time that I could actually just relax, that I wasn't worried about what was going on behind me, where the exits, where's the wall, who's this guy, keep your eye on him, he's friendly now, he might turn on you. I didn't worry about that at all. I could just be in the moment and relax. And I would look forward to Saturdays. And I'd have, I had terrible weeks. But like, come Wednesday, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so close. I'm so close. 3 more sleeps. And I'll be back. I'll be back in that safe place with those amazing people. Doing something that I thoroughly enjoy. I enjoyed like being in the moment and just taking pictures, capturing. One thing I also wish I got into the habit of doing, sorry for yawning so much, but one thing I wish I got into the habit of doing was also just looking at the pictures after I took them. I was just so in the moment, capturing and chasing this high, that I never paused to be like, did I actually get it the way I envisioned it, Instead, I would just be like, click, 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 click. I saw what I saw through the viewfinder, so it is what it is, click. But sometimes being able to step back and look at the picture, and not being so consumed by the moment, you can notice like, the horizon is a bit off or whatever, take it again, and fix little things. But with that being said, I got fantastic pictures that blew my mind. They literally took my breath away. And I was like, I can't believe I took that picture. and I was telling people about it, and I'd show them on my phone, and I'd be like, oh, look at this picture. They're like, oh, wow, that's such a nice picture. And I'm like, I took that picture, bitch. And there was just a sense of pride, and there was something about going to those sessions every week that gave me the strength to get through my weeks. And I was honestly going through a lot during those 5 weeks. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. I was mourning, I was exhausted, I was angry, I was going through it. And in the midst of all of that, I found a place where just the whole world went quiet, and it was just me and the viewfinder and this moment of crisp perfection. And I was really harsh with myself. I expected perfection from day one, and nothing was ever really good enough. But even now, when I look back at those older pictures, I'm like, actually, these weren't so bad, and I didn't have any grace or kindness or understanding for how, by me sort of shitting on the picture that I took, that I'm also shitting on the version of me that felt the need to capture that thing, that it was speaking to me in that moment, and that because it's not speaking to me now, that it's useless, and it's not. It's cute in its own way. Is there room for improvement? Yes, there's a lot of room for improvement. But all in all, it was fantastic. And to listen to the other women in the group and to hear their life stories, it was just amazing to see how these people that I admired, week in, week out, I'm just like, oh my gosh, these women are so amazing, they're so strong, they're so cool. To then, find out that they too have been going through a lot, that they too have survived so much. And, to see us sitting there laughing and being compassionate and kind and just being amazing, that amazingness came at a cost. That we're not laughing because everything is peachy. We're laughing in spite of everything that has gone wrong. And I think there's a lot of strength and resilience in being able to laugh in the face of so much pain and grief. And yeah, I will forever be grateful and forever admire these women. And yeah, I hope to keep them in my life. Not necessarily, deep in my pocket every day, but I'd like to keep in touch, to check in with them, to let them know that I see them and that, the part of my heart that they have will always be extended for them or to them. But yeah, that was that. It was lovely. And I was able to reach my step goals for the day without even feeling tired or frustrated. I was just happy. And the thing is, we used Fujifilm cameras. And now I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Fujifilm. I want to get my own camera, but I don't want to get just any camera. I want a Fujifilm camera. But Fujifilm is so expensive. It costs an arm and a leg to get these cameras. And I want the camera, and I want the best ones. And I want to spend my weekends picking different locations to take pictures, to just walk around. Will I be safe? I don't know. And, we end up back in the same little cycle. But, there are safe places to go, museums and, enclosed parks or whatever, Find a buddy or reach out to the group, the women, that are also struck by the same bug to reach out to them and say, hey, is anyone free this weekend? You want to take pictures with me? And that will take a different type of courage, because I'm also afraid of doing such things. But this is not the time to be afraid, because I've found that thing that's mine, you know? I think on social media I've been seeing, people sharing videos talking about needing a third space. That everyone has work and home, but you need a third space to decompress. A space that you can go and just be free of all responsibilities, because you come home and there's laundry and cooking and this and that, and you get to work and there's work, and yes, you can hang out with your friends and go to the bar, but you need something that's just yours, your space. And yes, there could be people that you do it with and whatever, but you doing the thing is not predicated on those people. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not, or it's not even the same people. Like if golf is your thing and you always need a 4-ball, you can join a random 4-ball. You don't care, you're there for yourself. And I think that's what I took away from this Shoot for Purpose thing, that I don't have something that I do solely for myself, that is just mine because I like it. And there have been many things in the past that have popped up, and then I let go of them because I don't see myself as mattering, I don't see myself as mattering enough to take up so much space in my own life. Does it make sense? That this time spent on this hobby could be spent doing something for someone else. And having to actually get into the ritual and the routine of waking up every Saturday morning to go do this thing helped me realize that it's important to actually carve out time for yourself, to have that boundary, to be like, no, I'm not available because I have this thing that I'm doing. I have this thing and it's important. It matters to me. And that's all that matters, really. I don't have to justify it. But yeah, and now I am in pursuit of this third space. I'm in pursuit of creating and cultivating a third space for myself. One that I will guard as fiercely as I do my home and my work. And one that I will dedicate myself to more than I do my work and more than I do any other task that is dedicated to others. This will be, my space for myself. But yeah, now that 1% that I mentioned last week, the 1% that made me kind of that 1% I'll talk about next week, because it speaks to a larger topic, a larger conversation on dignity, I think, and also truth, and how maybe, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because I haven't really metabolized my thoughts on it. And I know I said we'd get back to scheduled programming, but this is low-key what my next topic was going to be about anyway, right? The truth, and sometimes how should there be a moral value placed on what is true. Yeah, so that's what we'll be talking about next week. And thank you very much for listening. I will include the Instagram handle in the description of this week's episode, so you can feel free to follow them. You can see my photography there. It's the same name, Monotonous Cacophony. So if you have me on Instagram, you should have seen my posts already. But if not, that's okay. That is A Okay. Follow them now. It's Shoot for Purpose on Instagram. And obviously follow Fujifilm because, I mean, why not? Their cameras are amazing. Look it up. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. And that is this week's motivation. So, what is actually the motivation for this week? I guess the motivation for this week is to find your third place. What is your third place? And if you don't have one, what could that third place be? And how much time are you giving to your third place? Is it enough? Do you need more time in that space? And if so, what are you doing to create that time? Where do you need to start pulling away so that you can make enough time for yourself? Anyway, that's that from me. See you next week. And also, can we please discuss how nice and short these episodes have been? Anyway, goodbye.